Pavanar's ascending theory of Proto-Tamil migration. The Tamil did not come from Lemuria. There are two theories about the origin of the Dravidians. One theory is Pavanar's ascending theory of Proto-Tamil migration, which claims that Tamil came from Lemuria. The other theory is that the Dravidians originated in Africa and belonged to the Ma Confederation of the Proto-Sahara before the Tamil migrated into Eurasia. Lemuria is a continent that some people believe formerly existed in the Indian Ocean. They connected Africa, India, and Australia. The ancient Tamil also claimed they formerly lived on an island continent that was submerged under the Indian Ocean. They called this continent Kumari Kandum or Kumari Nadu. The Ma Confederation or civilization was located in ancient Middle Africa. This civilization inhabited by the founders of the Sumerian, Egyptian, Elamite, and Garamantian civilizations. The ancestors of these people belong to the Unanian culture of Africa. I call them the Proto-Saharans. The Maites hunted animals with the bow and arrow. They are associated with the Unanian culture. The Unanian culture existed 12,000 years ago. Anani Kanambator is a person who argues his case after having completely visualized the whole concept, which is a Tamil tradition, since Tholkapanar's day. The Anikanadavator is a person who is able to visualize phenomena by making the phenomena concrete. To make a phenomena concrete, you have to provide examples or evidence that supports the existence of a phenomenon. Some people claim an example of Anikanadavatar is the research of Devanega Pavanar. Devanega Pavanar is a Tamil linguist. He was known as a great scholar of the Tamil language. He wrote 34 books on Tamil linguistics and etymology. Pavanar, in primary classical language of the world, argues that the Tamil language is the most natural, Iyalmoli, and also a proto-world language, being the oldest Tolmali language of the world, from which all other major languages of the world are derived. Devaniya Pavanar believed that Sangam literature was compiled 10,000 to 5,000 years before the Common Era. Many Tamil believe that Pavanar's work, Primary Classical Language of the World, proves that Tamil did not come from Africa. Pavanar's research into Tamil origins is based on conjecture, or wishes. Pavanar argues that the Tamil language originated in Lemuria, the cradle of civilization and place of the origin of language. He believed that the evidence of Tamil's antiquity was being suppressed by Sanskritis. Pavanar's timeline for the evolution of mankind in Tamil is as follows. 5000 BC, origin of the human race. 200,000 BC, evolution of the Tamil or Homo Dravida. 200,000, 100,000 years ago, beginning of Tamil. 50,000 BC, Kumarikandam, civilization. 20,000 BC, a lost Tamil culture on eastern island which had an advanced civilization. Here are some of the various periods of Pavanar's timeline for Tamil. Pavanar, in primary classical language of the world, does not provide visualization of these theories. He does discuss expertly the etymology of many Tamil words, but he does not provide archaeological evidence to support his theories that Tamil originated on Lemuria. Pavanar argues that Tamil originated in Lemuria. In support of this claim, he provides no archaeological evidence. He says the Pandyans came from Lemuria, so the Tamil came from Lemuria. In support of this claim, he discusses the relationship between Australian dialects and Tamil. Just because these dialects show cognation is not evidence Tamil came from Lemuria or came from Australia, because we don't have any evidence Lemuria existed. Absent archaeological evidence linking Australia to South India fails to support a Lemurian origin of the Tamil. Yes, there is no archaeological evidence that connects Australia and South India. Pavanar, on page 22 of Primary Classical Language of the World, argues that the Tamil have been in South India since Paleolithic times. He argues that this is supported by the fact that the culture in South India has remained constant. This is false. The original South Indians cultivated wheat, but the Tamil cultivated millet. Whereas some of the original settlers of India cultivated wheat, the Tamil cultivated millet. The linguistic evidence suggests that the Proto-Dravidians belonged to an ancient sedentary culture which existed in Saharan Africa. We call the ancestors of this group Paleo-Dravido-Africans because these people spoke Dravidian and African languages. The Dravidian term for millet are listed in the Dravidian Etymological Dictionary at number 2,359, 4,300, and 2,671. A cursory review of the linguistic examples provided below from the Dravidian, Mandi, and Wolof languages show a close relationship between these languages. These terms are outlined in this slide. This slide shows that the Tamil and other Dravidians use the same term for millet. In addition, millet cultivation began at Napta Playa in the Nile Valley 9,000 years ago. The antiquity of millet cultivation in Africa, back to the Ma Confederation, explains the popularity of this food in India because the Tamil had belonged to the Ma Confederation. If millet cultivation had originated in Lemuria, it would have been cultivated on the east coast of Africa. It would have been cultivated around the Indian Ocean. It would have also been cultivated in Australia. But millet cultivation was centered in West and Middle Africa, where the Ma Confederation formerly existed. The next place we find millet is where? In the Indus Valley and later South India. Papanar provides no visual evidence of the ancient Tamil culture. He attempts to claim that the Tamil in South India traded with the Egyptians, but he provides no evidence for this claim. Papanar makes many claims about ancient trade between South India and Egypt, but he does not provide any evidence except conjecture. On the one hand, Papanar maintains that Egyptians traded with the Kushites for ebony, ivory, and other products, and then claims that they may have come from India. Papanar wrote, in the inscriptions of Harkuf, an Assyrian noble under the Egyptian king Merneri of the 6th dynasty BC, or 2600, there is the following. I descend from country of Yan, southern Nubia, with 300 asses laden with incense, ebony, grain, panthers, ivory, throw sticks, and every good product. The ebony referred to may be African ebony, he claims, but it may also be Indian ebony, which was superior to the African one, and was in ancient times taken from India to the Persian Gulf, where the Arabians took it to the coast of Africa, and from there was taken via Upper Nile to Egypt, as it was in later days. Papanar continues, Theophrastus ascribes the wood to India only, and Virgil Georgics 116.7 speaks of it as peculiar to India. In a latter chapter, it will be shown that grain and panthers were exported to Africa in later times. Yes, Papanar, they were imported to Egypt in later times. But in ancient times, these old dynasty Egyptians make it clear it came from where? Yan, Kush, on the Nile Valley, not India. Papanar claims that the Deccan was the only part of the world where cotton cloth was woven in those far-off days. But Egyptians were making cotton garments as early as 3000 BC. The ivory mentioned above was African, but may also have been Indian, Papanar argues. From every time Indian ivory was in demand, he writes on page 34. The term may, as used by Papanar, is not archaeological evidence, but the Egyptian evidence makes it clear that these products were Kushite trade items, not trade items from India. Although Papanar cannot provide evidence supporting his claim that Tamil traded with the Egyptians, there is archaeological evidence supporting an African origin of the Tamil. The Tamil were Proto-Saharans. They belonged to the Ma Confederation. Among the Proto-Saharans, the name Ma for their great ancestor god was joined to many ethnonyms. The descendants of the Ma clan descended from Ma, as evident in the name Mandi, for the present group of the Mandi of Western Africa. Mandi means Ma Inde, or children of Ma. Some Dravidians of South India were also members of the Mandi superclan, as illustrated in the Kannada, Telugu, and Tulu Dravidian tribes that use the term Mandi or Mande to denote people or persons. That's right. In these Tamil language, Mandi means people or person. The Sumerians called themselves Magari, God's exalted children. The Proto-Saharans, in honor of great Ma, use the term Ma to denote greatness. For example, in Manding we find Maga, Sumerian is Mag, and in Dravidian Ma. All of these terms mean greatness. The Ma element was also used in the names for their rulers, e.g. Menes of Egypt, the Manan of the Dravidians, and the Mansa of the Manding. S. N. Kramer and the Sumerians claimed that Makan was Egypt, Meluha was Nubia Pont, and the Indus Valley was called Dilmun. Yes, the Indus Valley was called Dilmun by the Sumerians. Today, Dilmun is believed to be found near Arabia, but the archaeological evidence suggests that the Indus Valley, which was settled by Dravidian speakers, was the source of the lapis lazuli, which made Dilmun famous. Archaeological research has confirmed that cultural interaction existed between the contemporary civilizations of the 4th and 3rd millennia BC. Extensive trade routes connected the Proto-Dravidians of the Indus Valley with African people in Egypto-Nubia and the Elamites and Sumerians of Mesopotamia. Pico discovered that vessels from the IVBI workshop at Tipiyaya have a uniform shape and design. Vessels sharing this style are distributed from Soviet Uzbekistan to the Indus Valley, and Sumerian, Elamite, and Egyptian sites. In addition, we find common arrowheads at Arabian sites and sites in Iran, Egypt, Minoan Crete, and Helladic Greece. Singh believes that this pottery spread from Nubia through Mesopotamia and Iran southward into India. The early examples of black and red ware date to the Amrathian period. The Amrathian period dates to 4000 BC. In other words, the earliest black and red pottery was made over 6,000 years ago in Africa. The oldest black and red pottery came from the Nile Valley. The Tamil took black and red ware to the Indus Valley throughout North India and South India. This same black and red ware was found at the lowest levels of the Arabian sites at Lothal, Raingpur. After 700 BC, the ceramic tradition spread southward into megalithic India. It is also found in Uzbekistan and China. Dilmun was an important source of lapis lazuli. If the Indus Valley civilization was Dilmun, as hypothesized by Kramer, it would explain the control of the Arapaho Delmonites of this important metal, which the Dravidians in the Indus Valley got from Afghanistan. The Indus Valley people spoke a Dravidian language. The Arabians controlled the lazurite region of Badakhshan and the routes to the tin and copper fields of Central Asia. Later, Tamil migrated South India and found the South Indian megalithic. Bibilau has shown conclusively that the Tamil belonging to the South Indian megalithic came from Nubia and were related to the Sea group people who founded the Kerma dynasty. Bibilau, the archaeologist, observed the South Indians and Nubians both had a common black and red ware, which Bibilau found was analogous to ceramics used by the megalithic people in India, who also used analogous pottery signs, identical to those found in the corpus of the Indus Valley writing and the corpus of the proto-scripts of Sumeria, the Elamites, and the Manding. Singh believes that this pottery, red and black ware, spread from Nubia to Mesopotamia and Iran, southward into India. Again, the earliest examples of black and ware pottery date back to the Amrathian period, or 4000 BC. The oldest black and red pottery came from the Nile Valley. The Tamil took black and red ware to the Indus Valley throughout North India and South India. The potter was an Ati Brahmin, first priest of the Dravidians. This same black and ware was found throughout most of Asia. A comparison of Egyptian, Niger-Congo, Mandi, Elamite, Dravidian, and Sumerian languages indicate that they diverged from a common ancestor. The Dravidian examples discussed below are taken from the Tamil. All of these languages share pronouns and demonstrative bases. This is proven by a comparison of three terms: chief, city, and black. Its linguistic data illustrates that a common cultural macrostructure is shared by these languages speakers, which subsequently evolved along separate lines. Given the genetic unity of these languages, we should call this group Black, African, Sumerian, Dravidian, Elamite, or Bafsudralam, superset of languages. The Tamil writing system originated in Africa. The symbols on the IVC seals and megalithic pottery are derived from the Thinite script. This script was used to write the Olmec script, Minoan script, Proto-Elamite, and Proto-Sumerian writing, before the Sumer people would decide to use cuneiform. The writing was also engraved on pottery from ancient Egypt to the Indus Valley, down into South India. There was no single human population in India. There have been varied Homo sapien groups that lived in India. Homo sapiens mean humans like us. The first anatomically modern humans in India were the Bedouins, who are related to the Australians. Next was probably the Munda people. After the Munda people came the Dravidians, followed by the Indo-Aryan speakers and various Mongoloid populations. The Dravidians settled the Indus Valley and introduced the Indus Valley civilization, which includes writing and black and red pottery. The Gond and Munda were members of the IVC. A major Munda tribe was the Gond. The Gond are a primordial population of India. They were probably formerly a Munda group. The Gond probably founded the Magarth culture. This view is supported by Magarth art, typified by the neck rings of the female figurines. The Munda people were living in the Indus Valley when the Tamil arrived and founded the Indus Valley civilization. The Munda Gond adopted many Dravidian cultural practices, but they continued to make female figurines with neck rings in the Indus Valley. Gond and Munda are recognized as different tribes and live in different parts of India. The Munda speak the Mundari language. The Gond speak Kautur language. A Munda origin of the Gond would explain the early separation of Gond from Proto-Dravidian. The Gond speak Dravidian languages today and are grouped in the Dravidian family of languages. The Gond are not the only Indian population that was absorbed by the Dravidian speakers. The Naga of North and South India came from modern Ethiopia. The Naga spoke Ge'ez. The Sangam literature mentions the Naga conflict with the Tamil, who eventually absorbed the Naga into the Tamil nation. Whereas Parvanar does not provide visual evidence supporting the Lemurian origin theories for the Tamil and Tamil origination in South India, there is abundant visualization for the African origin of the Tamil. In summary, 1. Millet cultivation. 2. The production of red and black pottery. 3. Cognate languages. And 4. The reality that writing originated in Africa makes it clear Parvanar's theory lacks congruence or visualization. The archaeological evidence makes it clear Tamil speakers took these cultural and economic professions with them to the Indus Valley and megalithic South India from their African homeland. The Tamil did not originate in Lemuria or South India. The Tamil came from Africa.